With a song in my heart, the story of men and their music, of composers who really had a song in their hearts. Cheyenne, a hit song of 1906, composed by one, and it's a very aristocratic name, Egbert van Alstyne. And let's see, he was born way back in 1882. Well, come to think of it, that's darn near 70-odd years ago, which might reasonably make you ask, what's he done in the field of popular songwriting? Well, it all started like this. When Egbert was only 7 years old, he attended Sunday school. And on one particular Sunday...
And now, children, having told you that little story from the Bible, I think we should sing a hymn.
Oh, yes, Miss Robinson. Let's sing All People That On Earth Do Dwell.
All right, my little ones, you shall sing it. Oh, what a pity it is, though, that we have no one to play it on the organ.
You can play the organ, Miss Robinson.
Who? Egbert? Egbert van Alstyne?
Yes, Miss Robinson.
But Egbert couldn't play the organ. Why, he's only 7 years old. One of our youngest in our little school.
But he can play, can't you, Eggie?
Can you really, Egbert? Oh, come on now, don't be shy, dear.
You can so play All People That On Earth Do Dwell, can't you, Egbert?
Yes, ma'am. Well, my treasure, if you can really play it, let us have it. But I'd like to hear you play it alone, just for me. All right, ma'am.
And that kiddie's organ solo, played to his little Sunday school class, was to prove the beginning of a musical career which was later to spread its charm throughout the world of lighter music. For some few years after young Van Alstyne played his organ solo, he attended the Chicago Musical College. And when the principal of this well-known institution was making his award of the annual prizes, this happening occurred.
And now, of course, we come to one of the most important awards of our musical year. Yes, of course, most of you have guessed it. It refers to our yearly scholarship for the most proficient pupil in the sphere of musical composition. And I'm certain that on this particular occasion, there will be no controversy on our judge's decision. The scholarship has been won by Egbert van Alstyne, who, by his diligent study, plus a heaven-born gift, has proved himself to be the star pupil of this famous academy. A brilliant career in the concert world awaits him.
But strangely enough, although the principal of that college predicted success in the classical sphere for young Van Alstyne, some few years later, around 1900 to be correct, we found him attempting to break into the field of variety as a vaudeville pianist. And not too successfully at that. You see, he'd teamed up with a young man named Harry Williams as a double act. Naturally, they had hopes of reaching the top of their chosen profession. But competition in the variety theater in those days was mighty tough. One night, in a little one-horse town, Van Alstyne mentioned to his partner...
Harry, we didn't go over so good tonight.
Van, you're not telling me a thing.
And if we can't make a success of our act in a hick town like this...
We might as well check out of vaudeville. Take on honest work.
Such as?
Oh, maybe we might become really good garbage men. You know, getting rid of dustbins.
Yeah, I know. Somehow it doesn't appeal.
Well, Van, let's quit kidding ourselves. What are we going to do?
We're going back to New York.
Oh, listen, pal, this is no time for gags. New York is 2,000 miles away, and we've got everything rich people have, except money. How are we going to get there?
Well, we can always jump a freight train.
Yeah, and finish up in a nice cold jail.
Well, Harry, we got to get back somehow, even if we have to walk.
And so we find our young vaudeville team once more back in the Big Smoke, where Van finally landed a job as a pianist in a publishing house. One day, his partner, Harry, said to him,
Van, have you ever thought of writing a song?
Many, many times. But trying to land a song hit isn't easy.
So what? There's nothing like trying. People say my lyrics have possibilities, and you've got a real flair for composition. Let's give it a fly.
And so these two young fellows started on that tough and elusive job of creating a hit song. Their efforts weren't rushed by publishers, and it was 3 long years before they finally broke through with a song now long forgotten called Navajo. But it was a start. And 2 years later, in 1905 to be precise, they landed their first big one. And what a hit. That evergreen old-timer, In the Shade of the Old Apple Tree.
In the shade of the old apple tree, when the love in your eyes I could see, and the voice that I heard like the song of a bird seemed to whisper sweet music to me. I could hear the dull buzz of the bee in the blossom that you sent to me. With a love that is true, I'll be waiting for you in the shade of the old apple tree. I could hear the dull buzz of the bee in the blossom that you sent to me. With a love that is true, I'll be waiting for you in the shade of the old apple tree.
That song was the turning point in their careers. They were established and well on the map. Other song hits followed in a never-ending stream. Cheyenne, which we've already given you, was one. Another good number that one still hears was that grand old comedy chorus song, I'm Afraid to Go Home in the Dark.
Baby dear, listen here, I'm afraid to go home in the dark. Every day the papers say a robbery in the place like a lark. Oh, there's no place like home, but I'm afraid to go home in the dark.
Baby dear, listen here.
I'm afraid to go home in the dark.
Every day the papers say
A robbery in the park.
I sit alone in the YMCA, singing just like a lark.
Oh, there's no place like home, but I'm afraid to
go home in the dark.
Some 9 years later, Van Alstyne was approached by another lyric writer, one of the best in the music biz, Gus Kahn. Gus put it this way.
Van, I figure it's about time we wrote a song together.
Not a bad idea at that, Gus. You're turning out some swell lyrics.
Same goes for your melodies.
Thanks, Gus. Got any ideas?
Sure. In fact, Van, I've got one that should be right up your street. I'm certain you can find the right tune for it.
Well, let's get to work on it. What do you call it?
Its title is Memories.
And thus, one of the world's most cherished melodies was born. Their beloved hit, Memories. Memories, of course, didn't arrive until 1915. In between times, the old firm of Williams and Van Alstyne were still turning out more than their share of popular hits. Going back to 1910, one day Williams mentioned to Van,
You know, Van, I was thinking last night of the many mother songs that are published each year.
Well, mother songs are pretty surefire. Hardly a year goes by without one ringing the bell.
You're pretty right. But
what?
why can't we write a song about father?
It'd be a change. But let's be practical. Do you think the public wants to sing about the old man? Mother love is always a sentimental tearjerker. But father...
What?
I guess the public might laugh at it.
There might. But say, Van, why not let 'em laugh at it?
What do you mean?
Let's give 'em a comedy song about Dad. It might be a riot.
And it certainly was, because our songwriting team gave us that great old chorus song of other days, What's the Matter with Father?
What's the matter with Father? He's all right. What's the matter with Father? The hair is white. He bumped his head in the kitchen door and fell down wallop upon the floor. Oh, what's the matter with Father? He's all right. He spent his life in trying to shirk the awful trouble of going to work.
What's the matter with Father?
He's all right.
What's the matter with Father?
His hair is white. His bets and horses were very rash, and poor old Mum never saw his cash.
What's the matter with Father?
He's all right.
Yes, that little jingle was a worldwide smash, and went to prove once again that if you can twist an old idea round, there's always the chance of making a hit out of it. By this time, the motion picture, the old silent film, was beginning to make its presence felt, and this was to eventually break up the songwriting team. It became the talk of Tin Pan Alley.
Say, Walter, did you hear the news?
No, what's new, Si?
What's new? I'll tell you, and it'll rock you.
Go ahead, shoot.
Harry Williams and Egg Van Alstyne have split.
Harry and Van. Si, I don't believe it. Not those boys.
That's right, dead right. Harry's going into the films.
For the love of Mike, what for? He can't act.
He's not going into act. He's got an idea to become a film producer.
A film producer? Whatever for?
He reckons these motion pictures have a future.
Boy, that's a funny one. If those films have a future, then Casanova had no past.
That's how the whole of Broadway feels about it. Here's a guy writing lots of hits and right in the money, and he wants to make movies.
Crazy, that's what. Plain crazy.
But time was to prove that Harry Williams was not crazy, for he finally became a successful movie director and did pretty well.
And what became of Van Alstyne?
He just went right on his way writing swell songs. One he wrote way back in 1916 is still with us. And why not? It was a really good pop tune. That catchy little number, Pretty Baby.
Everybody loves a baby, that's why I'm in love with you. Pretty baby, pretty baby. And I'd like to be your sister, brother, dad, and mother too. Pretty baby, pretty baby. Won't you come and let me rock you in my cradle of love? And we'll cuddle all the time. Oh, I want a loving baby, and it might as well be you. Pretty baby of mine. Won't you come and let me rock you in my cradle of love, and we'll cuddle all the time. Oh, I want a loving baby, and it might as well be you. Pretty baby of mine. Pretty baby of mine.
Van Alstyne was by now collaborating with quite a few lyric writers, but it didn't seem to make any difference. He still kept giving the world big-selling melodies. Some of them, I recall, were...
Your eyes have told me so.
You're in style when you're wearing a smile.
In the little old church in the valley.
And, of course, there were many more. But I don't think we should pass that last one up. It was a really big one. So, for old time's sake, we'll revive it.
I can see Mother there with her head bowed in prayer as she prays for her wandering boy. It was there that I first met my Sally, like an angel on earth, so it seemed, and she sang sweet and low in the long, long ago, in the little old church of my dreams.
In the little old church in the valley, where I first learned of sorrow and joy, I can see Mother there with her head bowed in prayer as she prays for her wandering boy.
It was there that I first met my Sally, like an angel on earth, so it seemed, and she sang sweet and low in the long, long ago, in the little old church of my dreams, in the little old church of my dreams.
When he reached the age of 50, Van Alstyne decided he'd reached the retiring age and bade Tin Pan Alley farewell. Strangely enough, he never returned. Lots of composers go into retirement, but the lure of creating the elusive hit frequently calls them back. Not so Van. He lived in ease and comfort on his well-earned royalties, and finally crossed the Great Divide in 1951. But his songs, many of them were of the simple, homely type, but they still linger in our memory. So we say, thank you, Egbert Van Alstyne, and thanks for many happy melodies, one of which was Drifting and Dreaming, an ideal finale to his story. And we cover the story of still another songwriter who left us many fine tunes, including his song, Memories, which is destined to become a folk song, a number to live through the ages. The artists recreating his times were Moira Farrow, Don Moore, Kenrick Hudson, Keith Hudson, David Reed, Eula Parker and her Parkettes, Max Blake and the Melodians. Your compere was John Morgan. Orchestra and chorus under the baton of William Flynn. With a Song in My Heart was produced by Alfred Potter and scripted and directed by Jack O'Hagan.